Hello everybody, and today welcome for another reaction video. And today, sorry, I just every time I keep getting a breath, there's like basically one of the breath steam coming on my glass inside my glass, and you know how annoying it is when using a mask, using a bandana in the glasses. Anyways, welcome back to another reaction video channel, and today we're going to be reacting to Why Blue's Clues is a Fantasy Inside Law and Order by Alex Bale. I mean, I'm not a fan of Blue's Clues, but I am a really big fan. Hang on. But I am a really big fan of the Alex Bale conspiracy theory about the SpongeBob. Like, it just flipped my head. Like, especially, not to be spoilers, but especially that there was a SpongeBob's imaginary Mr. Krabs came to life in the vents. And it was so unexpectedly surprising. I can't wait to watch this new Alex Bale video for my ideas that came into my head. So I should probably stream more for the stream December. And yeah, hope please God, please Jesus, please many gods that I can ever think of, and how many gods such as Zeus or Buddha or any sort of thing. Please give me a like, share, comment, and subscribe. Just please give me a famous so then I can monetize my videos and I can get paid again. Lord have mercy. Let's begin the video, shall we?
Hi there!
Hi.
Blue's Clues is an educational children's TV show about a man named Steve who lives in a magical world where he spends his day talking to an
Okay, by the way, before I press the video, I hope this video doesn't get copyrighted. If it gets copyrighted, I have to edit the video into black and white. You hate it when it happens. And if this video, like this video, Blue's Clues owned by Nickelodeon, we all know that we owned by Nickelodeon. And if this video gets copyrighted by a copyright bot system for copyright infringement, it's their head. It's their head.
inanimate objects, jumping through picture frames, and trying to find clues to help understand his magical blue dog. Law & Order is a gritty, realistic police procedural slash
Oh my god, my mom hate that show. Like literally, my mom actually hates that show so much. She thinks she's boring and she's just I don't know what to describe. I think my mom hates the show. And yeah, Law and Order, it's a meme. Yeah, never seen it. I have not mentioned. Is it gonna be Blue's Clue and Law and Order? I'm not sure.
legal drama that involves New York City homicide detectives trying to solve murders and prosecute criminals. These two shows are very different. You could not find two shows more polar
Has he
opposite
spent
than
so
Blue's
many
Clues
hours?
and Law and Order. And yet, despite
Has he
this,
spent so many
not
hours making
only
these
do I
videos for
believe
watching
that
every
these two
shows
shows
about
exist
Law
in
and
the
Orders
same
and Blue's
universe,
Clues?
but I'm also going to be proving that the entire Blue's Clues show is actually just a fantasy inside of the mind of a single Law and Order side character.
Oh god.
Yes, I am being serious. I know that sounds crazy, but just stick with me, because I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I had to use my headphones and this webcam because you see this remote this USB, no, not the remote, what am I stupid? Anyway, this remote is for the mouse, for like a Bluetooth mouse, and I had to get rid of it because I have the mouse pad right here, so I had to make a video to get rid of it. Yeah, I'm sorry.
That I have discovered a 29-year-old secret that has never been talked about before today. Get ready, because this is the Blue's Clues Law and Order theory.
Yeah, let's go, Alex Bale! Oh my, should I, is this video's copyright? Oh no! Oh no! Okay, okay, so this video is getting copyrighted so much I should probably mute that. Is this over? Please tell me it's over.
By far, the most common type of fan theory is the dream theory.
The dream
The
theory.
idea that
Chapter
everything
1.
happening in a story is actually all just inside of a character's head, whether they're stuck in a coma,
Oh, Ash Coma, that's a creepypasta.
or they're
Pokemon
dreaming, or
creepypasta.
hallucinating, or they're actually
Batman.
dead. Pretty much every piece of media has some kind of dream theory. And it's sort of the lazy, low-hanging fruit of fan theories. You can just apply it to literally anything, and usually there's never actually any evidence besides. You can
Wait,
just
what was
apply
that?
and it's sort of the
That's
lazy,
South Park.
low-hanging fruit of fan theories. You can just
Ash Ketchum, Harry
apply
Potter,
it to literally
Pokemon,
anything, and
SpongeBob SquarePants.
low-hanging
I'm sorry,
fruit of
I'll
fan
do it one more
theories.
time.
You
Ash Ketchum, he is dead. The entire dream is
can
just
just
dying. Same thing. Harry
apply
Potter,
it
the
to
entire dream is
literally
dying.
anything,
SpongeBob
and
SquarePants,
usually there's never actually
he
any evidence
dead.
besides.
Jerry Seinfeld, not
Whoa,
Jerry
this show is
Seinfeld,
so
the voice
crazy
of
and
the Barry B.
unrealistic. That
Benson from the
must mean
B
it's a
movie.
dream. And surprisingly, the show that seems to have the most of these types of fan theories is
You had to
Blue's
make
Clues.
this video
You got Steve is actually
while my
schizophrenic,
brother's not
Steve is
here,
actually in a
because
mental
he's
asylum,
basically out
Steve is
loud
actually a
and
drug addict, Steve is
drug
actually in
addict?
prison, Steve is actually a murderer who killed his parents. Oh
Yeah.
my god. Even
Okay.
I made a parody of these theories back in 2017.
Yeah, I'm
So
gonna
yeah,
close
it's
this
a
door.
pretty basic, normal kid show. Steve, a 30-year-old schizophrenic who killed his parents, pretends to be a kid.
You know, that was before I dedicated my life to making fan theories about kid shows. And
Oh,
look,
God.
I understand the appeal of these types of theories. It's fun to take something innocent from your
Guess I
childhood
spoke too
and
soon
give it
about
a dark,
getting
edgy
home
plot
early.
twist. That's kind of literally my job right now. But why are there so many of these theories about specifically Blue's Clues? Well, I think it's because
I'm in the lounge room because
everything about this
Pip's
show
using a
has
PC
always
or
felt
a laptop.
fake. Steve
Fake?
is the only real person in this world. He looks like a young adult, but he acts like a child. And he lives alone in a house where he spends his day jumping into picture frames or talking to unseen voices or inanimate objects. It just kind of
he's kinda
sounds
crazy,
like I'm
right?
describing someone who is experiencing some
It's actually
kind
kinda
of
crazy.
false reality. Even the way Steve moves around is
But
strange.
I'm a fan of
He never
SpongeBob
actually
conspiracy theory.
leaves the room. He just kind of pretends to walk in place while this fantasy world moves around him.
Come on.
What are we looking here?
Obviously, that was more of a filming limitation, but it still adds
Yeah.
to this feeling of
You gotta have the
fakeness.
blue screen
But
on.
other than these surface-level weird vibes the show gives off, there's never actually been any strong evidence to prove
Okay, I think
one
the
of
left
these
one is
theories.
it's
And
supposed to be
believe
that's
me,
AI.
I and others
Has to
have
be an
looked.
AI.
It has been 28 years since this show first came out. You know, you'd
28
think
years?
if there was actually some kind of smoking gun here, we would have found it by now. But what if that's because we've all been looking in the wrong place?
Ah, there it is.
The
There it
other day,
is.
I stumbled upon
There it
an
is.
interesting piece of Blue's Clues trivia. A year after Steve Burns filmed the Blue's Clues pilot, he had a small role in an episode of Law and Order. And
Really?
I thought the idea of seeing Steve
Was he in the
from
Law and
Blue's
Order
Clues in a
episode?
gritty, realistic cop show was kind of funny. So I decided to track down the 1995 episode titled "Cruel and Unusual."
Cruel
Just
and
a heads
Unusual.
up, this episode deals with some pretty
Alright.
serious subject matter. So please proceed with caution.
Moving my
In
face
this episode,
cam.
Steve Burns
There we
plays a
go.
kid with autism named Kevin Jeffries.
Good morning, how are you?
Great.
What time is it?
10:15.
No, it's 10:18.
We learn that
10:18.
Kevin has trouble communicating.
easy.
10:15.
10:15,
it's
10:80.
We learn that Kevin has trouble communicating with others and often harms.
Oh,
himself.
that's the guy
So
who.
his parents
That's the
send him
guy
to
who
live in a
the
children's
Blue's
behavioral
Clues.
clinic.
Just what was the behavioral clinic doing for him?
When Kevin was 10, he started to hurt himself.
We didn't know what to do. We couldn't keep Kevin here. We had to send him away.
We later find out that the doctors at this clinic were horribly mistreating him by giving him intense electroshock therapy and forcing
Oh,
him to
God.
wear a sensory deprivation helmet for days.
He kept Kathy in this helmet for 3 straight days. This helmet cut off the blood supply to our daughter's brain.
The episode starts with Kevin after he's escaped from the facility, but tragically, he gets arrested and later succumbs
God.
to the injury sustained from his abuse and dies.
I don't know.
He died.
I think the kid's dead.
And the rest of the episode follows the detectives investigating his death.
Dude, might I say
So
that
yeah,
Law and Order
this
is a kind of
very
pretty dark
sad and
episode. Like,
serious episode, and
I
it deals
do-
with some real
oh
systemic
yeah.
issues that
Okay,
are
for a
still
second, I
a
thought
problem
these are
today.
just
And
Minecraft
like I was
bricks.
saying, this show deals systemic issues that are still a problem and
Hang on.
serious.
I thought that bricks, it reminds me of the Minecraft bricks. But yeah, Law and Order is kind of the darkest show for
this episode, and it deals with some real systemic
dark.
issues that are still a problem today.
Like I remember,
And
I
like
can
I was saying,
saw the
this
first
show is
scene,
clearly
like
very,
while mom's
very
watching it,
different than
and I
Blue's
can
Clues.
see that
But
someone's just
what
hanging
I
himself in
find
the house, and
interesting
their
about
parents
this
just
is
reacting,
that for
and he was just
years,
panicking.
people have been trying to prove that Steve is actually in prison or a mental facility, and now we have
He's
this piece
basically
of
in
media
mental
where we
facility
see
because I can
Steve's
hear
actor
this
in
guy
that
says
exact
autism.
position, and as far as I'm aware, no one's ever really talked about this. I mean, sure, Kevin's not schizophrenic, he has autism, but seeing
Yeah,
as
like I
how he
said.
was being abused and put into sensory deprivation for days where he couldn't hear or see anything, you can kind of imagine that anyone in that position might try to escape to some kind of fantasy inside of their head. So yeah, I thought this was an interesting coincidence, but at the end of the day,
NBC Law
that's
and Order
kind
show
of all it
2
was.
shows in 1.
Like, obviously, just because the same actor shows up in 2 different shows doesn't mean they're actually connected. But then, I took a closer look
But
at
that's
this
not the same
episode,
names. His name
and I
is
started to
Steve,
notice
and Law and Order, his name is
more
Jeff.
and more weird similarities between Kevin and Steve. At
Kevin
first,
and
it just
Steve.
started with some little things. We are told by Kevin's parents that he was learning to draw.
Thanks to him, Kevin was learning to draw.
And in every
what?
episode of Blue's Clues, Steve draws in his handy-dandy notebook.
Our
Oh
handy
my
dandy
god.
notebook. Let's draw a rectangle, and
That's-
there.
This is
Cheese.
cheese.
Okay, but so what?
Jeez.
Lots of kids like to draw. But we are
Jeez.
also told that when Kevin harmed himself, he was strapped to a chair.
We put them in a
God.
chair, and then we hold them there using soft cuffs.
And in every episode of Blue's Clues, Steve spends a lot of time in his thinking chair.
We're ready to sit in our.
Think. Oh
Now
my
that
god,
we're in
thinking
our
chair.
Thinking chair.
Oh my
let's
god.
think.
And then,
No way.
when Kevin escaped the facility, he kept asking people
He
what
escaped?
time it was.
What time is it?
10:15.
What time?
How you doing today, huh?
What time?
Now, it is common for some people with autism to rely on specific schedules or routines, but what time it is also really important in Blue's Clues.
What time is it?
Dude.
What time is it now?
Steve has a cleanup
Oh my
time.
god.
We just had cleanup time.
Everything
a
is
nap
connected.
Now it's time for so long.
You are
There's a
right,
talking clock. And
deceiving
most of all, every
bitch.
day, Steve has mail time.
He's right. Mail time. Where are they gonna show mail time in Law and Order?
Blue, the mail's here.
So yeah,
they
there's some
gonna-
weird similarities here.
Everything's
but
connected.
nothing
Oh my god, the drawing, the
actually
chair,
concrete.
and the
I didn't really
time
start
connected.
to take any of this seriously until I realized.
Okay, good
after
thing.
Kevin escaped.
Okay, good thing I watched the Alex Bale. Did you just say escape? Hold on.
Any of this seriously until I realized. After Kevin escaped, we are told that he went to a movie theater. And guess what he did in the theater?
Movie started at 10. He was out of here by 10 after 10. Got out of his seat, walked into the screen.
Kevin got out of his seat and
Got out
tried
of
to
seat.
walk into the screen. Doesn't that sound exactly
God.
like Steve Blueska-doing into a picture?
Whoa, 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 whoa,
Kevin
whoa.
got out
Started at 10.
to a movie theater.
I need to listen
and guess
again. I
what
need
he
to listen
did
again.
In the theater.
Movie started at 10. He was out of here by 10 after 10. Got out of his seat, walked into the screen.
Kevin
Walk into the
got
screen.
out of his seat and tried to walk into the screen.
He was trying
Doesn't
to.
that sound exactly like Steve Blueska-doing into a
Blueska
picture?
doing. Yeah, that's right.
We can too.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
This kind of feels
Oh my
like
god.
more than a coincidence. So this is when I first started to consider, is it really possible that Kevin Jeffries from Law & Order is the real Steve and Blue's Clues is all a fantasy he created to escape his abusive reality?
Holy
Okay, I know you're
shit.
not convinced yet, and to be honest, neither was I, but don't worry, we are just getting started. Kevin's behavioral
God.
clinic is in New York City, and the one-time
Yeah, of course
characters
Law and Order is
actually
gonna be in New
leave
York
the Blue's
City.
Clues fantasy world and go to the real world.
Oh my god,
they
the
end up
modern
in
blue.
New York.
Blue's Clues in New York City? This is epic.
Also, in the very first episode of Blue's
Oh,
Clues,
no.
we can
What's
see
gonna
a
happen to him?
newspaper from the New York Times inside of Steve's house, strongly implying that's actually where he lives. we can also see the first episode of Blue's Clues, we can see a newspaper from the New York Times inside of Steve's house, strongly implying that's actually where he lives. We can inside of Steve's house, strongly implying that's actually where he lives. We can also see objects from Blue's Clues in Kevin's life.
Of course, it's gonna be in
Kevin's
New
parents'
York.
house, we see a very large salt and pepper shaker,
Salt
just like Mr. Salt
Mr.
and
Salt and Mrs.
Hi,
Pepper.
Mrs. Pepper?
Hello, Steve.
Hello, Steve.
And in the clinic, we can see a red bucket,
Red
just
bucket.
like Steve's
What is it?
friend, Pale.
Pale?
Hi, Steve.
Also, when Steve left the show to go to college, he left on a blue bus.
Blue bus. Is it gonna show the blue bus in New York?
And when Kevin escaped the clinic, in his pocket he had a schedule for the Greyhound.
Here you go.
Greyhound.
Amtrak schedule, Greyhound schedules.
Which is also a blue bus.
Oh
Alright,
my
those are some
god!
interesting connections, but
Dude.
you're probably still not completely sold yet, right?
Not sold?
Well, check this out. When Steve
What is
eventually
it?
left the show to go to college, he was
Seriously,
replaced
what is it?
by his younger brother Joe,
Oh, hi. It's me, Steve's brother Joe.
and later Joe got replaced by their cousin Josh.
Hi, it's me, Josh.
And
What happened to
not only
Joe
does Kevin
and Josh?
also have a younger brother, but at the clinic there is a nurse named Joe
What's your name? Joe Garvey. Joe Garvey, you're under arrest for assault.
and an
Wait, what?
occupational therapist named Josh.
Take a look at the amended complaint. An occupational therapist, Josh Bingham, was dropped.
I think that Kevin is taking aspects from his real life, like the objects or the names of the people working at the clinic, and applying them to
That
his
doesn't-
fantasy. Also, this one
Does
is
it
less
still
impressive,
connect? I
but
don't
the name
think- I don't
Kevin
think so.
is also the name of the Blues Clues UK host.
Hello out there. It's me, Kevin.
Also, check this out. Kevin's behavioral clinic has the same initials as Blues
BC.
Clues. Huh? That one's also not that impressive, I know.
Yeah,
But
no,
wait.
no. It's,
If this
you,
theory
you don't have
is
to say
true,
anything.
and all of this is just inside of
That's
Kevin's
fine.
head, then why does the main character of his fantasy keep changing?
Hi, come on in. Hi, come on in. Hi, come on in.
Well, at first
Oh,
I
come
thought
on
maybe
in.
Joe and Josh could actually just be from two different kids who took Kevin's spot in the clinic after he died, but the clinic gets shut down at the end of the episode.
You made them close the clinic.
So they would all have to be from Kevin, but why? Well, we're told that Kevin has tried to escape from the clinic before.
Well, we called the police this morning as soon as the clinic told us that Kevin ran away. He's done this before.
He's
So
done this
what
before.
if every time a host leaves Blue's Clues, it's actually Kevin trying to escape the clinic, and when he's inevitably put back inside,
He's done this before.
his fantasy resets with a new Blue's Clues host.
Hi, come on in. Hi, come on in. Hi, come on in.
Okay,
my
so
God.
there is a surprising amount
I actually
of
don't get it, I'm
connections.
sorry.
You can't deny that. But it still
But-
kind of feels like we're missing something. Like, I can see why Kevin would imagine a fun, colorful world to escape his abuse, but why is Kevin's fantasy so focused on playing a scavenger hunt game with a blue dog? As far as I can tell, there's nothing similar to that in this episode. Well, I think to answer this, we need to take a closer look at what Blue's Clues actually is.
Part 4, we
At
were gonna
the
play
beginning of
Blue's
the Law
Clues.
and Order episode, Kevin's doctor explained to the detectives why Kevin harmed himself.
It's pretty common with some autistic children. It's frustration because of their inability to communicate.
It's frustrations because of his inability to communicate. Now,
Dude, I need to get
autism
my
is a
thinking
spectrum,
cap.
and it's a lot more complicated
Like I'm
and
getting for
nuanced
Christmas, I
than the
need to
way
get a
TV
thinking
shows
cap
like
for
this
Christmas and
tend to
not-
portray it. But it is true that some people with autism have varying levels of difficulty communicating. And I think this becomes interesting when we take a look at what Blue's Clues actually
I think that
is.
mentally autism
Well, what story should we
you're
tell?
talking about, but I'm normal. I'm
Great
actually
idea.
normal.
We'll
I
play
was
Blue's
never.
Clues to figure out what story Blue wants us to tell.
It's a game where you try to understand Blue, a
Okay, I
character
thought I
who
heard.
has an inability
Okay, I thought I heard the Walking Dead theme in the background. I thought I heard that.
to communicate. This is literally the entire premise of the show. So I think that this is telling us that Blue represents the side of Kevin who struggles to communicate with others. Okay, but where did the idea for a blue dog come from? Like I said, I couldn't find any references
Oh my
to
God, we're gonna
dogs in
find a
this
blue dog.
episode. The closest visual was this vaguely blue drawing in Kevin's room that I can't really make out, or this teddy bear that kind of had a similar pattern to blue, but nothing really concrete, which is weird because blue is such a major part of this fantasy. But then I realized it doesn't matter if we can't find a direct connection, because in Blue's Clues, Steve didn't actually adopt Blue. In a flashback episode of Blue's Clues, we learned that when Steve was younger, he read a book about a blue dog.
It's a book about a puppy.
Which caused Blue to magically come to life.
Oh my God. Okay.
And I think this is also probably what happened with Kevin. We see that the children's behavioral clinic is full of what we can reasonably assume are children's books. Maybe there's a book in here that also gave Kevin the idea for a blue dog, just like Steve. In fact, this idea of a children's book giving Kevin ideas for his fantasy is exactly what we see at the start of the Blue's Clues intro.
Hi, it's me, Steve.
Every single episode of Blue's Clues starts with a stack of children's books in the real world, before going inside of a book called Blue's Clues, where the episode...
Oh my God, I think it's actually all connected now. It's actually all connected now. Oh my God. It's actually all connected. It's connected.
The show literally tells us every episode that Steve's world is fake and comes from a book. And I think this real world full of children's books is actually the Law and Order Behavioral Clinic. And if this is true, that also means that there's probably a book literally called Blue's Clues in the clinic that Kevin is basing his fantasy off of. So even if we never see a blue dog or even hear the name Steve in this line...
So basically, Kevin so basically he actually stuck inside his soul. His soul's just got contained, got prison. He actually got stuck in the Blue's Clue while Kevin's being autistic, and he just renamed Steve in the Blue's Clue. I think he having some kind of dream, or some kind of a dream taking his soul away. I think he believes it's taking his soul away. I do know the short YouTube, but he's basically... I have no idea what to say.
On Order episode, Kevin still could have gotten all of those ideas from an existing Blue's Clues book in the clinic. Now, the only thing that doesn't really fit with this idea is mail time.
Hello, mailbox.
Oh.
Hi, Steve.
Oh no, what about the mail time?
Sure, maybe the talking purple mailbox was just something from the book.
What about the mail
There's no
time?
way Steve watching videos of kids in the real world would be something in a children's book.
Look, it's a letter from our friends.
Hi, Steve. This is where we play with our blocks. This goes that way.
So, what are these videos? Well, the behavioral clinic is full of other children.
You want to see what a good day is for some of these kids?
So, I think these videos are Kevin's perception of the other kids. There is just an undeniable amount of connections and similarities between this episode and this show. It just really feels like Blue's Clues is all a fantasy inside of Kevin Jeffries' head. But at this point, you're probably wondering, could any of this
I wish
actually
I can
be
yell, but
intentional?
my brother's here. Part 5 is this even
if this
real?
theory is true, does that mean that the entire plot of Blue's Clues was actually secretly based on this one random episode of Law and Order? I'll admit, that seems unlikely, especially since this episode came out a year after the Blue's Clues pilot was filmed. I think it's a lot more likely that if this was intentional, then it was probably just the Law and Order creators deciding to secretly connect these two shows on their own. Maybe just because they thought it would be funny, I don't know. Or maybe it's some weird mixture of both? Because even years after this episode came out, Blue's Clues does still seem to weirdly line up with it.
I bet Alex Bale just got an idea while he's searching a Blue's Clue, and he just looked up the actor Steve, and he was spotted in the Law and Order, so that's why he got inspired from. I mean, I'm just saying.
I honestly don't know.
I gotta say
And to
it,
be
it's a
fair,
pretty
this
good
could all
idea to
still
make this
just be a
video.
bunch of weird coincidences, and that's it. But regardless of the creator's intent, it
But I
still
do know
works,
that
you
Alex
know?
Bale is gonna make
And it
the
makes
Cars
talking
theory.
about Blue's Clues a lot more
Disney
interesting.
Pixar Cars.
And at the end of the
I
day,
know it.
I
I
think
just
that's
know it.
kind of the point of all of these edgy Blue's Clues fan theories. And this was originally where I planned on ending this video. But there
And
was still one lingering question that was bothering me. If Blue's Clues really is just inside of Kevin Jeffries' head, then what about when Kevin died at the beginning of the episode? I mean, I guess we can just
That's a
say
good
that the
point.
entire Blue's
That's a
Clues
good
timeline
question.
takes place before Kevin's death, and if the show ever gets canceled, then we can just say that that is when Kevin died and the fantasy ended. But
oh my god.
what if I told
Oh my god. He died from a cancellation? What?
you we've already seen Kevin's death inside of Blue's Clues?
Wait, so Blue's Clues like the afterlife of Kevin's? It's gotta be an afterlife.
So, I recently watched the new Blue's Clues movie from 2022 called Blue's Big City Adventure. And not only did I find even
there's the other
more
guy.
similarities between this movie and the show, but I believe that this movie is showing us the day that Kevin died and the true end of the Blue's Clues timeline.
Holy shit.
So, this movie is about Josh, the newest host of Blue's Clues, going on a big adventure to audition for a Broadway musical in New York City.
Blue, we are definitely not in storybook world anymore.
It's kind of what you'd expect out of a modern day
Of course
Blue's
they're not
Clues
in the
movie. He
storybook
goes on a
anymore.
journey to the real world and gets lost. There's lots of wacky hijinks, but in the end, he finds his way and gets the part.
We want you to be the star of our Broadway show.
Yes, of course. Yes, what?
But if you watch this movie with this theory in mind, so many things take on a whole new meaning. The first thing that immediately caught me off guard was the opening song.
It's a brand new day.
Alright.
This song is about starting the day, and Josh keeps saying, "Good morning."
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
And literally, the first thing we hear Kevin Jeffries say is, "Good morning."
So is Donovan.
Good morning, how are you?
Despite it clearly
Oh my
being
god.
night, we
No
also
way.
hear this line in Josh's song.
This life is just like a beautiful dream.
I wonder what it's gonna say. Is it
This
beautiful dream
life
or
is
just like
just like a beautiful dream.
This life is just like a beautiful
Interesting.
dream.
And while Josh sings, the other
Very
characters
interesting.
keep telling him to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
It's a brand new day.
Right away,
Was this the end of the movie?
feels different. Like it's trying to draw attention to the fact
this
that
the
this
end of the
world
movie?
is just Kevin's fantasy, and it's time for him to leave it. Josh leaves his fantasy world to go to the audition in New York, just like how Kevin escapes the clinic at the start of the episode. And just like Kevin, Josh immediately seems very disoriented by the outside world. Until, of course, his fantasy starts to take over to protect him from reality.
Do I have to make this fully black and white for the copyright? I do not want this to happen.
But what's
Wait, the
interesting
police
about
officer.
this movie is that for the very first time ever, we get these little glimpses of Blue's Clues from other people's perspectives.
Don't you think so, Madam Mustard? Oh? Lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you.
Mr. Schultz! Mrs. Pepper! Am I glad to see you? Ah, oh my God!
Like I said, this movie feels different. We learn that
Different.
Josh's audition is at 3 o'clock, and the whole movie is just him trying to find the audition before time runs out.
It's almost time for my audition. Oh my gosh. We don't have much time, Blue.
Could this be why Kevin kept asking people what time it was?
What time is it?
Oh my god.
Josh also doesn't know where his audition is. All he knows is that it's in a theater somewhere.
Excuse me. Do you know the address to the theater? Which theater? I don't know which theater.
Maybe this is why Kevin went to a movie theater after he escaped, because
Oh
he
my
thought
God.
it was his Broadway
This is
audition. In the
mind-blowing.
Law & Order episode, shortly after leaving the theater, Kevin gets arrested and then tragically dies in police custody. But
Oh my
that's
God.
not what happens in this movie. Josh goes to the theater and gets the part.
We want you to be the star of our Broadway show.
Yes, of course. Yes.
But instead of him leaving and dying like Kevin, we immediately cut to him performing the musical in a big climactic finale.
My dream is a reality.
So, if this movie really is Kevin's final escape, then what if this is what Kevin experiences as he dies?
Basically dead. That has to be the afterlife.
A massive final magical song where he's surrounded by all of the friends from his fantasy. The only people who ever really
That must be
understood
the
him. Even the old hosts show
that
up
must
for
be
this
the
final
afterlife.
send-off for Kevin.
And thank you for making this a day and an adventure that I will never forget.
I'll never forget how you helped me find all those clues. Thanks again for all your help.
No, really.
Oh my
Now
God.
it's over. So long.
And that is sadly where Kevin Jeffrey's story ends. Now, I
Yep.
know this final movie theory maybe doesn't have as much evidence as the rest of my theory, but regardless, I like thinking that maybe Kevin found some peace in his final moments. And yeah, I know that this movie came out 27 years after the Law & Order episode, so it's
Yep.
probably a stretch to say that they're still connected. Wait, is that fucking B.D. Wong?
I'm the director
B.D.
of Rainbow
Wong?
Puppies Broadway
B.D.
musical.
what?
B.D. Wong from Law & Order SVU is the fucking director of Josh's musical?
I'm not entirely comfortable labeling the suspect a serial killer.
Oh my God.
Be the star of our Broadway show.
Holy shit!
Do we still have time? Oh no. Let's just say it's disconnected.
This is actually my job.
Alright.
That is my theory. Thank
Okay,
you
me
so
and
much
Alex
for
just
watching.
said alright, bud.
Hope I didn't ruin Blue's Clues for you. Hey,
Is it gonna be a post-credit
thanks for
scene?
1 million subscribers. That's really cool. YouTube sent me this big golden rectangle.
Oh
So
wow,
that's-
good
I
for
got that
you.
now. Also, you know, Steve Burns, you happen to see this Mr. Steve Blue's Clues. I'm sure we would all love to hear your thoughts on this theory.
Oh,
even
God.
if it's okay, I'm doing a High School Musical one. I got more fan.
Okay, that bottom there, it reminds me of Cars. Because that Light McQueen, that's the blue car, and that's the green van. I do know that is gonna be that has to be Cars. I really hope that Alex Bale will make more theories really faster and solving it faster. I really want to see more. Like, how much video? I mean,
Fan theories on the way. I'm doing a
he
High
done
School
the video
Musical
8
one.
months ago.
Maybe a Breaking Bad one. Seemed like people were interested in that. And I've got a bunch of other ideas I'm working on too. So subscribe to catch those. Make sure you hit the High School Musical one. Maybe a Breaking Bad one. Seemed like people were interested in that. And icon, cause
Okay.
I recently posted a.
Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Before I end the video, had to see that, like, how much. No way. He done that 4 months ago. No way. 2 months. Like, he been making one of these theories for 2 months. Jesus. 2 months or 4 months. Whoa. I mean, thank you so much for watching for this. I actually love this stream. I mean, shout out to Alex Bale. I mean, you can see here. Well, thank you so much for watching this video for a reaction of the episode 5 or 4 or lost count. I think I just lost count. And as always, I'll probably see you in another video or live stream or shorts or other social media platforms. So cheers.